Welcome everyone to Legion Gaming. I'm your host Donnie. As always, I'm joined by co-host Deuce.
The name's Gaming, Legion Gaming.
Ooh, that's a good one. And today we're joined by two very special guests. We have Randall.
Hey everybody, it's great to be back.
And we have Vito, the 8-bit barrister.
Hey everyone, happy to be here to talk about Bond and Goldeneye.
We are having a great time today because, yes, as Vito said, we are talking about one of the most influential, one of the most iconic, one of the most legendary, one of the most, I don't know what other adjectives I could add to it, but one of the greatest games ever, Goldeneye from the Nintendo 64. If you listen to our previous episode, I think it was episode 58, pretty recently, we covered essentially the first, I think it was like 18 years of James Bond games, from like 1982 to 2000, and today we decided our sort of midpoint, which, you know, we kind of covered GoldenEye in that episode too, but we wanted to do a dedicated full deep dive because GoldenEye is significant for a lot of reasons.
We mentioned it existed, and it was the catalyst for all of our Bond knowledge.
That's really true. I think because previous to this, I really had no familiarity with Bond, and I imagine, I don't know how well you guys knew Bond, but for me, this was definitely the gateway to Bond. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we get to all the good stuff, Phillips, we've been playing lately. Randy, do you want to start since you're to my immediate right?
Oh, sure, yeah. Just bear with me. I've never sat at this portion of the table before, so
that is true.
It's a little strange and confusing. Right?
Yeah, you're usually in position 4 is what we'll call it over there. Yeah.
Not much. I was just on a Vegas trip, so most of my games were like, card or slot based lately.
Nice.
But we did get back into Warzone the other week. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Actually got a win on it, which was really nice. And then yesterday, I finally, after it had to have been well over a year, I finally got back to playing some Street Fighter 6, and oh my, you want to talk about rusty? Yeah, it was pretty rough, especially since I was using the arcade stick that I had I didn't really get to use much before I stopped playing it for various reasons, and so it was a little tough to get used to, but it's still a great game. I'm definitely going to enjoy figuring out how I got in close to these people to give them pal drivers, or are there variations of slams with Manon?
It'll come back. You're kind of like Steven Seagal in Hard to Kill, where it feels like you've been gone for like 7 years, and then as you go along, you learn to kill again. So
yeah, exactly. Like my timing with DJ was a little bit off. I just felt like I was just constantly a half step behind the opponent all the time, and I could just see it happen in real time.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can
it was just
blame it on the stick, right?
I did for a little bit. For some of it was. Some of it. Also, there's a thing where you have to go in and set the control scheme for each character.
Oh.
And so I was playing it, and I'm like, I just set this thing up. Why is it not working? And I go in there, and I see that it's still set for custom 1 and not fight stick. It's like, okay, so let's switch it over to fight stick, apply to all. Let's go back and let's play it. And okay, now it's working right. Now let's go to this other character, and why is it not working right? The apply to all does not work for if you're trying to apply fight stick as your default for all characters. So I would waste like 2 or 3 rounds for like every single character that I was switching to not having the right control scheme, not even able to do like a drive rush or anything like that. It was annoying.
I just have to say, when Randy told me he was getting back in Street Fighter, I expected to hear every single bit of this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well,
there was a lot of rust to begin with, regardless.
Did you already
of
know
control.
about the fight stick? Because you use a stick.
Yeah, well, there is a learning curve with that, obviously. Like I think,
but I mean, applying it to like how you said.
I've had that issue before.
Oh, okay.
And for me, it's just it sucks during the match, and you just go back and change it, which is fine. Yeah. But it does suck when you're caught off guard because it's mapped differently. So you might hit a button that is mapped to a controller. Right. Yeah. But it does happen. And then with him, it sounds like there was some weird issue where like it wouldn't apply for to every character for some reason. Because in Street Fighter 6, you can designate individual control schemes for each character if you want. If you have a different setup. But if you want it universal, you can hit the option, and then it didn't do that for Randy. So I can imagine him already being frustrated with his losses. And then
don't get me wrong. When I went and changed it, it's not like I magically was like, oh, everything's better. No. I still my timing was totally off.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But
It's
it was just
great,
those
though.
extra things. Like, no, I clearly hit punch. Why did he throw a kick and I just got killed?
Why did the menu come up? What is going on?
But once you get in the groove again, it feels great. That's the thing about Street Fighter 6 especially. Like, it sucks when you're kind of shaking the ring rust off and you're getting more frustrated because you're losing and making mistakes.
Well, I wasn't really getting frustrated about the losing so much as I was just getting frustrated about certain moves weren't coming out right. Because I expected to lose a lot, and I did. Yeah. But I won a good chunk too.
Yeah, it feels great when you win. That's why I love about this game.
Yeah,
like it's just
nothing
it's
better
great to win
than
or
grabbing
lose.
someone and giving them a pile driver.
Yeah, over and over and over again. Yeah. until they die. Deucey, what have you been diving into?
Nothing like that. None of my old classics. I got kind of the itch to play some Mario Kart, but I haven't gotten into that. Instead, I finally broke the hold that Stardew Valley had on me, and I have new simulations to play in handheld mode on my Switch. I got a 2-pack of 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Campus. And those are always fun. It's like The Sims, but even more cartoony. And I also got into the trading card game Shop Simulator.
Oh, I've seen a few of these come out, and they look really fun. Yeah, they sound pretty cool.
I've seen some people playing it on PC on YouTube, and I was like, oh man, that's so much better than even like the grocery store simulator or whatever. This one is like you're running a little fake Pokemon card shop, and you even get to open the packs and sell the cards individually if they're worth a lot.
I think that's one of the coolest parts about it, because obviously one of the coolest things about collecting cards is opening the pack and the excitement, or even like with Magic, right? So it's cool when I read that a lot of games have that now, where you can rip the booster packs open and see what you got.
They have a nice little card flicking sound when you're going through the deck. A lot of them are junk, so you can just bundle those up and sell them all at once. And then I'm still going through Star Wars Outlaws, a really long game. Like I said in the last episode, I got to a second planet, and then one of the side missions on this second planet, because it's a snow planet, took me to Tatooine, actually. Mm-hmm. And I landed, and the second I got off the ship, I just stood there, because like this was probably one of the first times where I really felt like I was in the movie that made this location famous.
Yeah, and it looks amazing in Outlaws, because the rubber engine they're using looks incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do get the sense of, you finally get the sense of scale of Tatooine and a lot of the other planets here, and especially when you start seeing little effects like the wind carrying sand across you, right?
I pulled up my binoculars, or whatever they call them in Star Wars lore, and it looked like in the movies when they're scanning the dunes for something. Yep. I was just like, this is amazing.
It's really great.
Did you find Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's?
No, I was looking on the map. I'm like, I wonder which one of these huts is them.
Well, yeah, definitely look for it, because it's there. It's a nice little Easter egg.
I thought it might be. I thought it would be.
Would Watto's shop be somewhere here too? Did they tuck that somewhere in Tatooine? I didn't even look.
I'm not sure, because I'm pretty sure you have Mos Eisley, right? Yeah. But I think he was in like a different one. Espa?
Oh, was he in Mos Espa?
Right. Yeah, they were in a different town.
There you go. In a different town in the galaxy.
Yeah. But
wasn't
that
Watto,
might be there too.
When does Rebels take, or Outlaws take place?
Between 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Oh, so at this point, I think Vader had already gone and absolutely laid waste to Watto and everything.
Oh yeah, probably.
I just thought it'd be like an Easter egg, like maybe you see like one of his tusks or something. You know?
I wanted to see like the pod racing track.
Yeah, that'd be really
I wanted to
cool.
be driving along and go, oh, that's where they went through.
That map is really, really big.
Yeah.
And you actually do travel through, like, I don't know what they're called, but the big, like, stone pillars that they go.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll go through that.
I thought they have to be around here somewhere, but I was only focused on the side mission, so I only made a beeline for the little yellow square.
Yeah.
And then finally, taking my attention away from Outlaws, unfortunately, is the Oblivion remaster that Shadow dropped. And at first I was like, okay, I might try it out because it's on Game Pass, so it'll be really quick download and free to get into. And then, yeah, it took away all my time, and I've been playing it for the last 2 or 3 nights.
Yeah, that's why I haven't gotten it yet, is because I was waiting for the games I've been playing, which we'll talk about in a minute here. But I really want to get the Oblivion Remaster, because first it was leaked, or first it was rumored, then images leaked, and then they're like, yeah, it's a stealth drop or whatever, and it came out this week, and it looks really amazing. And from what I understand, the game is basically the same thing under the hood, for better or worse, including glitches and whatnot. But of course, they reskinned everything with Unreal Engine 5, and it looks really incredible.
It's funny because everything looks so much better, and I think I was telling you that like this is the first time where I don't need a side-by-side comparison. I know that it looks better than the original. The weird thing is they didn't re-record anything, so a lot of the like crispy, chunky dialogue from the original is still there. It's just now their faces move more. Mm-hmm. There's this one guy, this old monk guy that I had to talk to. He was delivering everything like he did back in the day, but now his eyes got really wide. He looked very surprised to see me, and all he was doing was telling me exposition.
Yeah, the Oblivion caffeine or something.
Yeah. But Patrick Stewart was great too as the king right off the bat. I don't know. Does he come back in like flashback narration or anything? Because
I don't remember because I mean that's
he was like
I
the
last played
best.
that like in 2007 or something.
He
It's
was
been
the
a
best
while.
voice actor in the game, and then he's like immediately gone.
Yeah. They're like, well, you're in the beginning of the game. We'll pay you for that. Just
Yeah.
be in the studio for about a couple hours. It'll be good.
Yep.
Yeah. Vito, what have you been playing lately?
So I'm still going through Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
What episode to record where you see where you're like, I'm like quite a ways into that. I forgot what it
There
was.
was a Mario Kart.
Mario
episode.
Kart. That's right. Yeah.
So I'm roughly a little over 100 hours into it. I don't know how much longer I have left to complete it. I'm considering just speed rushing it now, even as much as I'm enjoying it because there's so many other RPGs that are out, including Oblivion, which I have been playing as well. But I feel like I'd be doing the game a disservice because every side mission is so well written and there's different tones to each side mission. Like there's a horror themed one. There's like, a lot of comedy, stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know how much longer I have to finish it and I might just speed rush it. I'm also playing, because I'm a big fan, Indiana Jones came out on PS5. And I got all the achievements on Xbox. So I'm like, why not? I'll just do it again on PS5. So that's what I'm doing. And that game is great. It was my game of the year last year. And Oblivion, I started that. I had it for 360 when it came out. Unfortunately, I didn't have a hard drive. I had a memory card at the time.
Oh my god!
And my memory card crapped out about 30 or 40 hours into my playthrough, and I just said, screw it, I'm never going to playing this
only
anymore.
horrible story I've heard about the memory cards on 360 ever. Everyone I knew had that hard drive. It's crazy.
No, I couldn't afford it. I was like, I just need a memory card, and it crapped out and never finished it. So
how much memory was on the memory card back then?
I can't even remember.
I want to say it was 256 megabytes, maybe.
Yikes!
I can't remember.
Oblivion might have been the only thing that was stored.
I was
on
gonna
there.
say.
I have to look that up because I totally forgot that those were even a thing. So it's funny that you had.
Yeah.
That's how you played Oblivion,
Yeah.
which might be the worst thing to play on that because that game is already buggy to begin with.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, that's awful.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to actually, finishing it at some point. I don't know. I know it's 100 hours or so, maybe more. So who knows? Maybe next year I'll finish it if I religiously play it.
It'll go in the backlog like everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. The games I've been playing Street Fighter 6 like Randy, just because I've been getting back into that recently. Like the past couple of episodes, I've said as much, and it just feels great to play fighting games for me. Which led into one of the new ones I got this week, which was Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves. I didn't realize this was the first Fatal Fury game in 26 years.
Oh.
Because I remember when they had Garou Mark of the Wolves on Dreamcast, which I never got to play. I played long after the fact. I didn't know that was the last one. It was the last Fatal Fury game. So this is the first brand new one, and they've definitely taken cues from Street Fighter 6 as far as including like modes and training modes, and sort of they have like this story mode, which is less involved than Street Fighter 6's World Tour mode, where it's just like a map and you go to different fights, you gain experience, and you can go through with each character, unlock more like music and whatnot. And the jukebox in here, I love this trend of fighting games where they have historical music, because Fatal Fury has pretty much every song from every soundtrack from like every Fatal Fury game, every Art of Fighting game. They have some King of Fighters. It's really awesome. I've been having a great time so far. It plays differently in Street Fighter 6, so I'm definitely getting my ass kicked so far online. But it's been fun
Kind of like
to learn.
Tekken 8.
Yeah, just like actually exactly like Tekken 8, where I had to get to that hill. It was an uphill battle, maybe a steep cliff, and then I finally started to get some wins. So this one's been a little bit rough, but it's only been like 2 days.
Have they not done Fatal Fury because they've done like a bunch of King of Fighters and other things in between?
I think that's the case, because SNK has been, they've been like, they were in business, they were bankrupt, they went out of business, they came back, and they've been working on pretty much everything else but a Fatal Fury game. So like the King of Fighters, that's kind of been a Fatal Fury proxy, right? Because it has a lot of the characters from the series. So they haven't focused on a mainline game in 2.5 decades, which is crazy. But this one's definitely returned to form. It looks really great, and I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. It's definitely a different flavor of fighting game for people. Like it's a little bit, this feels a little bit more like you have to be more precise with your inputs, which is good and bad for me.
I'm out.
Yeah. The other game I've been playing, which is what I've been really excited about for a long time, is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This is a turn-based RPG that was announced sometime last year. It finally came out this week. It's out on PS5. It's on Game Pass for Xbox. It's on PC. And this game is everything I had hoped it would be, because sometimes when you get excited about a game, like you kind of have to temper your expectations because you might be disappointed, whatever else. This has so far blown me away. Just in the first like 4 or 5 hours I played. The music is really incredible. The voice acting is great. Charlie Cox is the main character, which is cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which I didn't really recognize because he has an accent, which I'm used to Daredevil.
Yeah.
But the story and writing here are really incredible. It's like some of the RPGs I've played, like JRPGs, it's everything, the world's ending and whatnot, but sometimes the tone is off because of the anime aesthetic, or sometimes like the writing just doesn't have that sort of weight to it. And this game's immediately bleak. Like right when you start, the whole premise of the game is that this goddess named the Paintress writes a number on this monolith that's counted down from 100, and everyone who's above that age that's written on the monolith just withers away in a bunch of petals like Thanos. It's crazy. So the whole idea is like there's an expedition set out each time to go out and try to kill the goddess, and you're next up. So she etches the number. Basically, the person that you find out is your love just dies in front of you, and you're off to this journey to go kill the Paintress. And then 10 minutes into the journey, the entire expedition is wiped out except for like 2 people. And now it's like you're in the middle of nowhere. You're in this open world. This old guy comes out of nowhere, and you're like, well, wait, anyone who's over 33 is dead. How is this guy still alive?
Yeah.
And that's just on the story part. So the best part about the game for me is the combat, where it's turn-based RPG, but it's almost like an action game where you have dodging, parrying, and you have Super Mario RPG like timed hits.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, it's really great. And it's great because each enemy you fight has different abilities that you can parry. So it's like the lower risk is to just dodge. You might get an AP point to cast a spell, or you might parry, which if you parry each successive attack, you'll do like this massive counterattack. So for someone like me, where I love like Stellar Blade, Devil May Cry, this is just the ultimate marriage of genres for me, because they've made the turn-based RPG really engaging because the combat's so active and fun, while kind of breaking down the monotony of JRPGs, which is usually just like, mashing X or something over and over and over.
Do you have party members, and do you get to control them each individually on their turn?
Yes. So this game is really
That's awesome.
stylized. There's 3 party members at once, and everyone has like this really different, I guess we'll call it like class or archetype, and they all have different subsystems that do things like if the girl, if she her name's Lune, if she casts spells, she racks up these they call them stains, which are like elemental sort of orbs, and then you can use those in tandem with other spells to enhance them. So like if you heal somebody, you get a green stone, which if you cast fire while having that green stone stored, it does more damage. So the other thing about this game is great is like it has all these different gameplay systems that perfectly marriage together in a turn-based combat. Like everything is used in some way, and I just freaking love that. Like nothing is really wasted. It's been freaking phenomenal. So I know this has gotten a lot of hypes for the throughout the week, because like it's gotten crazy reviews and whatnot, but it is definitely worth playing if you haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, luckily it's on Game Pass.
Exactly. It's a great time. I've been loving the hell of it so far. Yeah. All right, guys.
I was going to say, anyone else get their Switch 2 pre-orders?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Those opened up today, and I did. It was a nightmare on Target, but I finally got it after trying to go through 3 retailers at once at 9 p.m. on what it was, Wednesday night.
Yeah. I got mine, and it was nightmarish. Just every service failed me. And then luckily last night, I got somebody on Twitter posted they're available at Walmart. So I went on and I was able to get it on Walmart. So hopefully they don't cancel it, because that's what happened to me on Wednesday night.
Oh, yeah.
I was paranoid because pretty much right at 9 o'clock, like I was refreshing all 3 apps. It was Walmart, Best Buy, Target, and I was able to get one in the cart at Target almost immediately, which was like, oh, this is kind of weird. And then I couldn't check out for like 25 minutes. I almost gave up. Meanwhile, I'm like flipping between the other apps trying to get it. And as soon as I actually was able to get an order, I was like, all right, well, it says confirmed. I'm just expecting a cancellation the next day. So far, I haven't gotten canceled, but, we'll see what happens around June 5th. So we'll see.
Yeah, I had forgot that it was dropping that day for some reason. I thought it was dropping like 2 days later or something like that. And so by the time that I heard about it, it was already gone everywhere. And so I just kind of gave up on that. I was like, all right, I guess I'll get that when I get it. And then I saw that they might have some at the local GameStop. Of course, they're so busy they weren't answering the phone.
Oh,
so
of course.
Just, all right, whatever. It's like a 12-minute drive. Let's go try our luck. Get in there, knock over an old lady. I'm not sure if she was going to GameStop, but you can't take that chance.
She might have been.
She might have been.
She might have been.
And then I get in there, and of course the Mario Kart bundle was sold like just 2 minutes before I was up in line. But that's okay. So I got that pre-ordered. Got the Mario Kart pre-ordered. I didn't get like a Pro controller yet. That'll be next. But I already paid in full for everything, so I thought that was that's fine to just leave it. I'm not worried about the peripherals being available.
Yeah. Well, you can. Those are usually easy to get anyway. The only thing that sucks is because of all this tariff nonsense. Like the Pro controller is $85
Oh my
at
God.
launch. It's crazy.
And of course, it's not backwards compatible.
No,
with
no. The current ones are.
Well, I heard that there's like an extra button or something on the new
Yeah,
one.
it's for like capturing and streaming. So it's
Oh,
like
really?
it's a total
So-
non-issue. Yeah.
Oh, then I might not need it at all.
Yeah, like,
I mean,
I'd
as
lo-
long as I can play the new Mario Kart on the current Pro controller I have, then I'm fine.
Yeah, like
There's nothing wrong
I'm
with
sure I
that.
get a Pro controller later on at some point, but it sucks because the Pro controllers are always expensive. This is just like the most expensive. But fortunately, you can use your old Pro controllers on the Switch too, which is
Okay,
you know,
because
really
the guy
just-
at
thank
the
God.
counter kind of made me think that it was going to be only work on Switch 1 games.
No, it should work on everything. It's
No,
just like, I mean, we could use GameCube on the Switch.
I was
for
gonna
God's
say,
sake.
yeah.
You know, like I'm sure it'll be fine.
No, I went on Nintendo's website to look up that specific issue, and it said that the Switch 1 Pro works for both Switch 1 and Switch 2 games.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
excellent.
okay, cool.
Then I am golden.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not worried about it now. I have a couple, Switch 1 Pro controllers, and it'll be fine. I'm really excited to play it though, because everything showed about Mario Kart Online or Mario Kart World on that stream looked really incredible. I want to get the Donkey Kong Bonanza game. That's the second one I want to grab because that one looks excellent. Everything else is like ports and whatnot. I haven't seen anything that's really been
There's no
star-studded.
like major Switch 2 exclusives outside.
Yeah, and I think
Sound up.
the upgrades for like Tears of the Kingdom are cool. I think it was like $20 if you want to upgrade them. But I mean, that's all. That's all secondary. Like I'm really just here for Mario Kart.
Yeah,
and
it's
Donkey
really
Kong.
just a very expensive Mario Kart machine.
It really is for now. Absolutely, yeah.
And the Zelda updates are free if you have the Nintendo online.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, is
I
it?
forgot that. Yeah,
Oh.
they're adding the upgrades
I mean, I
free
could
to the
potentially
online.
finish the game that way.
Yeah.
I never did. I got like 40. I know you got way further than I did. I got like
really
40, 50
far,
hours in, and I
and then
loved it.
I got into like one of those underground areas, and it was just a nightmare to get out. Like it was, I just felt like I was going around forever in the dark trying to find my path out.
That can happen.
But by the time that I did get back out, it was just like the game just felt too overwhelming again. I just saved and came back to it later, but never came back to it.
Yeah, that game. I was talking to you about Xenoblade, but that game is another one where it's like I would love to have so much time for it, but sometimes when I just get in the mood to play it, I have like an hour or two. Sometimes before bed, and it's like I feel like you do nothing in that game in an hour
Yeah,
or two.
because some like I do appreciate just how in depth it is.
Me
and,
too.
And being able to build things with the Mega Hand, or whatever it was called.
Ultra
The
Hand.
Ultra Hand, yeah.
Mega Hand.
The Mega Hand, it could be the same thing.
Yeah.
But being able to build things like that, like building gliders, that was all really cool. But sometimes I just like, can I just have just like a regular dungeon?
Yeah,
that, like,
just
I
please
go
bring
through,
me
like,
to a
in-
dungeon. Can I
like
pay
in
for a
the old
taxi service?
Ocarina or something like that.
Yeah, no, I got the same itch because that's the same for me. Is I love dungeons, and it's like I wish they're tucked around every single corner. Yeah,
I'm just happy to hear I'm not the only one that hasn't finished it because I put a lot of hours into it and never finished it.
Oh, don't worry. I haven't even started
got
it.
pretty far in it, and then Street Fighter 6 came out.
yeah, that's true. That was the same
yeah,
time.
It was about
That's
like
right.
a month later.
How ironic, yeah.
And that kind of monopolized a lot of my time.
All right, guys. Well, I think it's a good time now more than ever to get into some Secret Agent 007 specialness with Goldeneye. All right, guys, we are here. We're talking about, as I said, one of the most iconic, most influential games ever, GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64. So, fellas, I know this is like a big game for all of us, so I thought we could start with some history of Rare and how we kind of got to GoldenEye, because it's kind of an interesting story, especially tied with the actual movie GoldenEye, which at this time, Ducey, you're like the Bond encyclopedia of sorts here, but there was a break between, I think it was License to Kill, right?
Yep.
And then GoldenEye came out in 95. It was Pierce Brosnan who was Bond for the first time. And this really kicked off what we know as modern Bond. I think that's probably fair to say, right?
Yeah.
This movie was a big hit at the time. I loved it. Did you guys watch the movie before you played the game?
I did,
Not
yes.
at all.
No?
I did.
You did?
Yeah,
Nice.
same.
Yeah, I don't think I had seen it because I'm pretty sure my dad might have rented it right before this, but then I didn't know anything about the game until, it kicked off way later. Yeah.
Yeah, this was the first Bond movie that I probably watched the whole way through. I know I had seen like bits and pieces of them like on TV from before, like some of the old Roger Moore ones and things like that. And you mentioned it on your podcast, but like my most vivid memory was the James Bond Jr. song.
Yeah.
When I was young.
My first introduction to Bond was actually James Bond Jr. But it wasn't until GoldenEye was about to come out in the theaters that... Do you remember they released those box sets on VHS where it was like
Yeah.
3 and a making of? So my dad's a huge Bond fan, and we were at Costco, and we saw the box set that had Goldfinger in it. And he, like, his eyes got wide, and he's like, oh my God. And he, like, bought it. And then we watched it probably later that night, and he had to tell me he's been a fan since my grandfather took him to see Goldfinger.
Oh, wow.
At Radio City Music Hall in 1964.
That's freaking amazing.
And I watched that movie, and I was immediately hooked, and I've been a lifelong Bond fan ever since then. And I've seen each movie probably multiple times at this point. I'm probably like Ducey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when those box sets came out, and in retrospective, I wish that I had just signed up to be a Columbia House member.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pay 1 penny and get all of them, and then ignore all of their feature notices.
Because it was cash on delivery, maybe just avoid them, and you have that on your collections or something like that.
Yep, that's how we got a lot of our movies.
Yeah. So this movie was huge. It's I think for us and many of our generation, it did spark Bond into a sort of zeitgeist of sorts. And it was only a matter of time, which the history of Bond games we covered before, but they were going to make a game based on GoldenEye. And they had been given it, Rare ended up getting the rights for this, and Rare, they have a pretty awesome history with Nintendo, and they have a great history in general. But Rare originally started in 1985 by the Stamper brothers, Tim and Chris Stamper, and before then it was actually Ultimate Play the Game, which was a subsidiary of Ashby Computers and Graphics Limited, which was another company that the brothers owned. So they had like these subsidiaries for all these different game developers here. So Ultimate Play the Game was started in 1982, and they were primarily a PC developer for like the ZX Spectrum, the Commodore. They're also behind notable titles like Jetpack and Saberwolf, which I first got exposed to those games on Donkey Kong 64.
Yep.
When you could play them as the bonus game to get the banana and the coin or whatever it was.
Yeah, you do Jetpack, and the original Donkey Kong was on that. But Saberwolf I remember on Rare Replay, and I don't know if I've actually played it at any point, but I've always wondered, is that character the one that's in Killer Instinct?
I don't know if it actually is, because I've wondered the same. I think I read it is.
Okay.
I'm not 100% confirmed that, because I think that was it has to be, right? Because it's
Same
Saberwolf, same spelling and everything.
Yeah.
Both
If anything,
are rare.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, and the Rare Replay, which is what I was going to point out too, that's like one of the most awesome collections that you could get for any developer. It has almost everything except the Donkey Kong games, which is unfortunate, but it makes sense because it's under Microsoft.
And GoldenEye doesn't.
And GoldenEye, yeah. Well, actually, it does now. They added it for.
Oh,
it's
that's right.
technically part of Game Pass and Rare Replay. But Rare Replay is like, it's one of the most awesome collections. It's usually really inexpensive, and it's on Game Pass. And it just has like pretty much Rare's entire history up until, I guess, Sea of Thieves. I don't know what the most recent game that's on that collection is.
Not Sea of Thieves.
It was previous, whatever the last one before Sea of Thieves was. I don't even know.
Yeah, I forgot.
At least up to Grab the Ghoulies. I know
Yeah,
that much.
that was-
Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, maybe.
There's a couple Viva Pinatas on there.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, there you go. So it goes up to like 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the brothers formed Rare in 1985, and then they ended up forming Rare because they were interested in developing games for Nintendo and the Famicom, and they reverse engineered the Famicom, which at the time was supposedly have been possible. So they showed Nintendo that they could reverse engineer it and they could develop games for it. And Nintendo was so impressed that they gave them basically a free-form budget to make however many games they wanted, which was totally contradictory to what they had on other developers, third-party developers. Nintendo would limit how many games each developer could develop because they didn't want to oversaturate the market and just it was sort of like an instance of quality control. Except it didn't really work because a lot of companies would make sub companies, like Konami made Ultra Games.
Yeah.
And a lot of games were pretty awful there. So despite their efforts, it really didn't matter. But Rare was the one and only developer that they were impressed by so much that they said, do whatever the hell you want. You have infinite money for you. Developed all the games you ever wanted.
It's two things are like kind of wild about this is that one, Rare did a lot of work with LJN, and LJN is notoriously crap. But somehow Nintendo was like, we see through it, we see what you wanted to do. And then also, they reverse engineered the Famicom, and Nintendo praised them. Whereas these days, you do anything with their
You
property.
get a cease and desist right away.
They took a decidedly opposite approach now.
Yeah.
When so many people these days could reverse engineer these games and things, and it would make everything better. Like,
Well, in the years you do, that's what happens, right? That's why like ROM hacks exist and this and that. And, like, it's funny. Like Sega's the opposite, where it's like they almost encourage people to it's almost like pirate and break open their code or something. They'll hire them to make Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's like, no, can't do that anymore. Rare was, that 1985 is different than 2025.
I feel like Nintendo feels scorned now that
Yeah.
Rare went to Microsoft, and
That
they're
could
like,
be.
nobody ever again.
Yeah.
I also think that back then they were just so happy to flood the market with
That's also
with a lot
true.
of different games. Whereas Nintendo now is going to be very high on their own personal quality control. And like, you're not going to release that under our banner.
Yeah, their business is a lot different now, where they won't release, especially first party or second party, they won't release like the schlockiest stuff. Back then, they just let free reign because they needed the games.
Unless you go to the Nintendo eShop, where
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the schlock
that's all the
is.
indie garbage. Yeah. So some of the highlights from Rare, I'm sure many of us, well, at least all of us here are probably familiar with all these, but a lot of you out there might not be. There's RC Pro-Am, which is a big NES game for all of us, I think. Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Anticipation. They did a lot of game show games.
I've actually played Anticipation.
I have too, and Wheel of Fortune. They made WWF WrestleMania, that's the original one, and a ton of WWF NES games, Battletoads, Killer Instinct, Donkey Kong Country, Blast Corps, Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Diddy Kong Racing, and just countless other games. So they've had a huge history with Nintendo. And that's kind of how Goldeneye started, is that Nintendo trusted Rare to make this game. And it's actually starting as far back as January 1995. They wanted this to be like a 2D game on the Super Nintendo, which I cannot imagine what that would have been. And obviously how much it would have changed history. It would have been like the breaking off point of our multiverse or something.
I feel like it would have looked like a better The Duel, like for Sega, but just,
That's a
with
good
Pierce
point.
Brosnan's face now and, the Super Nintendo graphics. That's
I'd
about
imagine
it.
they would have tried to push the like the Donkey Kong style graphics too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the super graphical station, or it's called Silicon Graphics. Yeah. So Nintendo and Rare had talked about creating James Bond game way back in '94, and then they had this sort of idea in '95 for the 2D game, and then they ultimately decided that the N64 had to be where they were going to develop because it just wasn't going to work on the Super Nintendo. Martin Hollis, actually, he was the director of Goldeneye. He suggested a 3D action game for the N64. So just to add context to some of the 3D games that are out this time, like 3D is still very, very new for basically everything. Like PC is doing a little bit of 3D stuff. PS1 had been out in '95, but Sega was doing 3D in '94 with like Virtua Fighter. They did Virtua Cop. There was System Shock, Jumping Flash, Bubsy 3D. Whether we like it or not, that was one of the earlier 3D games, right?
Glad they didn't take anything from that game.
Yeah. So even before GoldenEye became the shooter it was, they actually wanted it to be a Virtual Cop style rail shooter, which is kind of like. It was kind of like the big thing. There was a lot of light games back in the arcades. I remember that then. Like later on, there was like Time Crisis, one of my favorites back then.
Area 51.
Area 51. That was really like the cool thing in the arcades. It was hard to translate it at home though, because we had like limited light gun support, and like it wasn't always the greatest thing. Like we had T2, the arcade game, which fun was not a great game to play. Very fun to necessarily play prolonging, So I'm glad that they didn't go with the Virtual Cop style because that probably would have just. It would have existed and withered away. And ultimately, it was games like Doom and Super Mario 64 that actually influenced the direction of going to like 3D and having these objectives, which I never really connected, but I think it's pretty obvious when you play the game, especially with the different objectives across different difficulties, that it does kind of align with Mario 64's star system, where everything has like a different objective, so to speak, to go pick up.
Yeah, like the stars are in different locations, and you have to take a clue from the name of the star, which is basically what you do with GoldenEye if you don't have a player's guide for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's interesting. Like I never really made that connection, but it makes perfect sense. I was like, oh, now I see it. Yeah. So much of the team at Rare was inexperienced at this point, so they hired a lot of new people. Some of the more noble staff, which you'll recognize from the game in some instances too, like David Doak. He's Dr. Doak in the second level, which is fun. He was the primary level designer and did scripting. There was Steve Ellis, who helped with programming the cheat options and implementing multiplayer, which we'll talk about because that's obviously a huge part of this game. And Doak said that Ellis sat in a room and literally just took all the code written for a single player game and applied it to a multiplayer game, which I find just, I don't even know how to think that's possible, but he made it work, especially on limited hardware like the N64. It's pretty incredible. Another sort of facet to this is that Rare didn't know what the N64 controller looked like, so they actually Frankensteined a Sega Saturn controller with like a 3D stick, and that's how they developed this game. So it's funny, like some of the reviews I read, and we'll get into later, like they kind of talk about the controls, and I wonder if that kind of stemmed from, long-term development time where they didn't have the N64 controller in their hands, so they just made what they thought it could be.
I wonder when they finally got it and they were like, oh crap, we have to change everything.
Yeah. Like that sounds like it might have been a nightmare in itself. Yeah.
Or they open it up and they look at it like, is this a joke?
Yeah.
Really?
So one of the cool things about the development of this game is that they were free to use anything in the Bond universe, which I think is a lot different than nowadays, because now every sort of license and IP is so guarded that they're very specific on what you can and can't show in certain situations. So I think it's crazy. Like in 1996, MGM was just like, do whatever the hell you want. Like, here's the access to the archives, whatever.
Except for the likenesses of
Which
guys.
makes sense, because they have to pay royalties. So that makes sense too. But it's interesting, like, they have like main or villains like Odd Jobs in here, Baron Sammy, like things that are from the Bond universe that I had no idea of, frankly. But they're included nonetheless. It's great that it's a little bonus on there.
The Moonraker laser is actually in the movie Moonraker. It's a little more white in the movie, but also the Golden Gun, that's famously its own movie, and then it's also in the game.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool that they had free reign, and you could definitely tell they definitely used as much as they could.
So I think the likeness thing, though, is actually still in the code.
It is.
Yeah.
You can use Game Shark, if I remember, or those button codes, too, to unlock them, I thought.
Not for them. It has to be Game Shark.
Oh, is it Game Shark? Okay.
For like Sean Connery.
That's what I thought, because there's button combos to unlock more codes that weren't in the game. There's Game Shark codes that unlock the hidden stuff that
really
they
digs
tucked
in
away.
there, yeah.
Because I do remember doing that with my Game Shark back then.
It would have blown my mind if in multiplayer you could play back then as like Connery Bond or Roger Moore.
Oh, yeah, if you just
like,
take
it would have
them
been
out.
so cool, like to have that in there.
Well, there also is pictures in the instruction booklet, I believe, that shows them.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, because you're looking at these different tuxedos, and you're like, I don't know any character that has a white tuxedo coat, but that I think would have been Sean Connery's character.
It makes sense.
And like the faces are a little blurry because all the pictures are really small in the instruction booklet, but they're like, yeah, that was from when we had all of them in there.
It's pretty incredible because, again, it's fun when you see that stuff cracked open with a Game Shark, but it's different when you figure like it was supposed to be in there, and they probably were told the last minute, like, hey, we can't have that anymore.
Yeah.
Sean
Take them
Connery
out.
wants too much money.
Yes.
Take it out.
Roger Moore's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So there's a couple things I want to point out for GoldenEye, like some of the research I've done, also stuff I've seen and watched and read. There's a couple notable things I recommend. The documentary is on Prime now. You can get it elsewhere too, like you can rent it and whatnot. It's called Golden Era. It's a documentary that interviews much of the Rare development team from the time. It's really, really good. It's pretty in depth, and it goes to like interviews as far as like how they ideated certain things, how multiplayer came to be, and like leading up to E3. It's really, really good.
I'm kicking myself because I remember when this came out, and we were both kind of hyped to see it. And then I completely forgot about it. And I actually recently just found it on YouTube, too. Is it
on YouTube?
It's fully on there for free.
I watched it the other night and fell asleep watching it.
Yeah, I watched it when it came out, and I really, really enjoyed it because it was just like an hour and a half. It was short and sweet. It was really pretty in-depth for what it showed on there, especially because there's a lot of developers I had never seen before, and it's great just seeing their fondness for the time and like the stories they had. It was really nice.
Nice.
There's also a book called GoldenEye 007, The Making of an N64 Classic by Elise Knorr. So there's a few notes I took from that book because that's another that came out before the documentary, and that's totally separate from it. But that also interviews a lot of Rare talent from the time, and it goes in a lot in depth about like the marketing and how they were involved with the movie and everything. So it's really nice. For adapting the movie, they were actually able to use some of the blueprints from the movie, from what I understand.
Yep.
A lot of the stuff from they were able to visit sets, which was a big thing. So they were able to basically transcribe what they saw and add it to the single player game.
I think that's what blew me away the most when I played it. And then, because I played it before I watched the movie, and then when I watched it and I saw that the levels looked exactly like what I had been playing, and I was just like, no other movie adaptation into a game has ever really done this before.
Not to this level. Like, this level of immersion was just something that, at least for us, we'd never seen before. I definitely hadn't at the time. It was different.
Down to when you're in the archives level, there's like a white cement top and green on the bottom. They did that on the movie set.
Yeah, it's like 1-for-1 in some of the areas. It's really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they really extended out those scenes too, because there's like the snow level. Like, Bob's not even there
No.
in the movie. It's just briefly there for Natalia and Boris, I believe.
But they're like, we got to show you this level somehow. We have the blueprints for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, here's a reason to use a sniper rifle. Here you go.
Yeah. And they talk about in the documentary too, it's like how they wanted to encourage those kind of moments, like with the sniper rifle, or if you wanted to go stealth, because up until this point, like Doom and those kind of corridor shooters, as they call them, were basically just obliterate everything in the room. Collect the key card, kill everything in the room, get out, use the key card.
I like how the silo level was definitely an homage to Doom.
It was.
Because it was literally that. Get a key card for the next door and then just kill everybody that runs at you.
And don't get lost.
Is that the level where you look for security footage and the footage is in it has like the GoldenEye movie poster as the
no,
box
that's
art?
that's in the bunker.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the little Easter egg. Yeah. All right, so some multiplayer. So it's interesting because this is probably the most noble part about the game, but it was actually something that wasn't even supposed to be in the game, which is wild to think about. But the game had seen multiple delays until release. Like this had come out in August 97. The movie had come out like in 95. I want to say summer 95, somewhere around there. Maybe it's fall 95.
Yeah.
So almost 2 years later, this game had come out, but it was also a result of multiple delays. You know, they changed the project from that Virtua Cop style thing and rail shooter to this. And then they figured that they kind of sneak in multiplayer since it was delayed anyway and they had the time. And Nintendo and I guess the management at Rare didn't even know this was happening. But once people were starting to play it, that's when they realized like they had something, because the team was actually playing Super Bomberman, and that was obviously very addicting because we played that as well. And they realized that like when they had that hook that Super Bomberman is, that they had something special on their hands. So once they showed it to Nintendo and Rare, they're like, all right, like, this is great, but I wish you had told me about ahead of time, because this now they just assume that the delay was on purpose to include something like this. Like they don't have the budget, they don't have the time, but nonetheless they made it happen, and it paid off in spades, to say the least.
They created the console with 4 controller ports, and then a lot of these stories in the early days are how multiplayer was added on last. What were they planning if they had these 4 controller ports and they were like, nah, but we still don't want multiplayer?
It's like, well, we got Mario Kart. That's all you need, right? Like,
yeah.
Forget everything else. You don't need 4-player BioFreaks. I don't even know if that was 4 players. It probably wasn't, but it shouldn't have been. Yeah. So we'll get into some reviews real quick here before we get into the meat of the episode, so to speak. So we have GamePro issue 108, September 1997. They give a graphics of 5, sound of 5, control 4.5, fun factor out of 5. These are all out of 5, by the way. They praise the levels based on blueprints from the movie and all of the details like blood soaking in enemies and bullet holes in walls and all the animations. The sound and music were called out for how they sound like they were straight out of the movie, and they loved the multiplayer and all the available options. The only negative was that they thought the sensitivity and the learning curve needed for the free aim was a little too wonky, which I agree with, but you know, it's 1997. Who cares at that point?
It's funny, like I played it right off the bat, and I was okay with the stick moving and the R to aim, and then what was it, a year or so later, Duke Nukem 3D comes out, or Duke Nukem 64, and it alters to where the C buttons now move you. And I was like, oh, GoldenEye has had this option all along, and they didn't tell you. But once you switch that over, and now the stick looks around, oh, it's even better.
It's even better. Yeah, the default control scheme works great for what it is. But yeah, I think it was with Duke and also Perfect Dark, that's when I transitioned using the C buttons too, because it was almost like a dual stick, but we didn't have dual stick necessarily on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. EGM, issue 99, October 1997. These are out of 10. They got a 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, and a 9. Best feature was death matches. Worst feature, slow frame rates. They said not only is GoldenEye 10 times better than the movie, it's also 10 times more realistic. They loved the gadgets and guns, missions with multiple varied objectives. The other reviewers were very impressed, and one said that they'd buy it solely for the multiplayer mode, which I think is worthwhile. They noted some sluggish frame rate in some situations, and they called it one of the best first-person shooters ever. And then, curiously, Final Fantasy VII was the game of the month this month. If you're wondering like how great of a year this was, Final Fantasy VII got 4 9.5s, so it beat out GoldenEye by like 0.5 in one of the scores.
I think I'm more surprised, not that it beat out GoldenEye by that slim of a margin, but that like Final Fantasy VII didn't get any 10s.
I'm shocked about that too. Like as many accolades as that game had back then, it's kind of surprising. EGM, who back then didn't give 10s out often either. Like I think it was like after like Xbox came out, because then they had like Halo, Tony Hawk 2, or Tony Hawk 3, and all those games got 10s.
I'm sure
they were really rare.
I'm sure they gave Ocarina 10s.
That they had to have.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if they didn't. Yeah. And our favorite, Nintendo Power, issue 99, August 1997. They had a really cool 16-page guide, which I vividly remembered when I was going through this issue earlier this week, because Ducey had it, so I would often borrow it. These are all out of 5. They gave graphics and sound a 4.9, play control 4.3, challenge 4.8, theme and fun 4.4. The main review really didn't have much of anything about the game. It was almost like an advertisement saying like, here's all these modes and single player stuff and all the cool effects. It didn't really give anything negative, but they had like a plus and minus, and their positives were stunning realistic graphics, great game design for one or multiple players, and one of the best games they ever played. The negative is that the quality on animation is so good that the death throes of victims may make players squeamish. I don't know if that's necessarily a negative, but it is, I guess.
I mean, I guess they hadn't played Turok yet.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not, because Turok was out like 6 months before this, so
Yeah.
Turok is way worse than GoldenEye.
Oh yes, they make gurgly noises when
And
you
there's,
shoot them.
I think
down.
there's like decapitations and stuff in there too. Like it's a far worse
have-
game as far as
They
gore.
have blood squirting across the screen.
Yeah. All right, fellas. So I've been rambling and going on for a while, but where were you guys when you first played this? Did like when did you first play GoldenEye? How'd you hear of it? Because for us, I think we all have a different story for how it came to be, and ultimately it all culminated to us playing together at some point.
For me, it was definitely the youth center that you'd go to after school. They had the 64, so people were pretty much always either renting out Goldeneye or WCW NWO World Tour.
It's Mike's
That's funny
fault.
because Mike told us he was on our last episode of wrestling games. He was talking about this youth center. It's probably the same one that you both
absolutely.
went,
That's exactly
and that's where
where
we
it
played World
was.
Tour.
That's where I played both of those games for the first time. So after, getting better at GoldenEye and then finally getting an N64, I'm pretty sure GoldenEye was the first game we had for it. I couldn't tell you for certain, but I know that because that was one that Dad would play a lot too. And we ended up buying the strategy guide so that way we knew what we needed to do in order to unlock some of those cheats like, big head mode and all that.
Yeah.
And it was great. And also that strategy guide gave you a lot of like Bond history too.
Nice.
So that caused me to like go rent some of the older movies that I could that were available to rent at the time.
That's why I love the guides back then, because especially when they had bonus stuff like that, it made it even easier. Plus, GameStop or EB Games always offered you like, hey, it's 20% off if you buy it with the game today. So that's how they hooked me, at least. Yeah. Ducey, I don't recall how you and I played, because I know, like, I remember renting it, and then I immediately convinced my mom to go buy it. And I remember because we went to our little shopping mall in town, and then it was a great day, because right after we got this, we went to Wendy's, which is right down the road. So I got myself some nuggets, and I got home and played this, and I knew that instantly then and there, I was hyped. I was ready for this game.
I actually remember the exact date because around that time, it was 1997, Stargate SG-1 was new on TV, and I remember what episode I watched the same night I rented it, and it was September 19th, 1997, and it's because, like, before that, I got that Nintendo Power that you mentioned, and it came with this, like, separate manila folder thing that had the little preview of it. I don't remember if they gave us a VHS, but I do remember this manila folder thing. It looked top secret files. It looked like a secret
Almost like a
agent
dossier
thing.
or something.
Yeah. You could tear out the pages in it so that it also just looked like a folder with some files in there.
That's great.
And I pored over those pages because the game hadn't even released yet. And as soon as it came out, then I waited about another 2 to 3 weeks. I don't know if I just couldn't get my parents to take me to Blockbuster, or maybe it was like rented out or something. But I finally got it in that September and played it all weekend. And then I don't think I even had to wait for Christmas. I think it was like, hey, I got a good report card. Can I please get this game
that
I've been playing for 24/7?
Yeah. Vito, when did you play this one?
So I remember when it was released, and it couldn't be found like anywhere. I remember looking like around Christmas time to try to get it for Christmas, and every store was sold out. And then I think Christmas passed, and my mom's like, "Well, it'll be your like late Christmas gift, if you could find it anywhere." And I remember we're at my grandparents' house, and I called the warehouse.
Oh yeah, love the warehouse.
The same one that you know.
Yep.
And the clerk answered, and I was like, "Do you have any GoldenEye?" He's like, "We have one left." And I was like, "Okay, could you hold it for me?" And God bless this guy. I don't know where he is now, but he's like, "I'll hold it for you for 20 minutes." He's like, "What's your name?" And so I gave it to him, and I ran to my mom. I was like, "Mom, we have to leave right now. We have to go get it. We have to go get it." And so we ran over there, and I picked it up, and basically I still have that copy to this day. I've been playing it on and off ever since. So.
Yeah, it's. I just vividly remember, renting it, and then when you first drop in that first level, when you hear the Bond music, the camera wraps around Bond, and he has his gun hand out, and you're in the dam. I don't know. I mean, there's only so many games where you can kind of relive the first time you played them, right? But certain things stick in your mind, and that stuck to me immediately. And I was like, oh god, like this game is gonna be great right away. So I guess we get into the single player, and we'll get into the multiplayer stuff. But the single player was really something I had never played before, because like we mentioned earlier, there was different objectives. And actually I should note too, before we can get into the big thing about this game, it's like no one really expected this game to be a success, by the way. Like I guess there was almost no hype before release. They had kind of a lukewarm E3 showing, I think it was in 96. And then by 97, they had actually the multiplayer implemented, and that's when it started to get some more hype because people were actually able to play it at E3. And it's funny because I was watching an episode of Electric Playground on YouTube, which is this old Canadian gaming show that I used to really love. And they show GoldenEye E3 1997. And it's really amazing to see these people just they're just clueless about what the game is. They're like, yeah, have you seen Goldeneye? Like this new game, Goldeneye. It's got 4 players. It's really amazing.
I think what also didn't help the marketing was that like the movie came out 2 years before that, and I mean, I was 10 at the time, so I had no idea what Bond was. Even though I saw my dad's collection, I don't remember any TV commercials about the movie coming out. And my dad didn't really talk about it because he had sort of fallen off the series when it took them so long between movies. Mm-hmm. And so when this came out as a game, I just thought, oh, it's called GoldenEye. I don't even think I put 2 and 2 together that it was based on a movie.
Oh, that's funny.
Until later we happened to see it on, I don't know if Showtime was playing it or something like that. And I was like, hey, wait, this is my game.
Yeah. Now you made the connection.
But like, most games after this, when they said, oh, look at how well a movie to game is doing, we have to put these out at the same time as the release. And that's what hurt the game's following. Like, they needed this development time.
That's true. If they'd released it any earlier in any form, it probably would have been disastrous. Like, this game would not be as noble as it is. So those delays, for whatever reasons they happen, whether there's development time or budget, whatever the case was, it helped this game immensely because that's what... and that's actually what that Golden Ear documentary starts with, is that quote by Shigeru Miyamoto where it says, a delayed game is great. Was it a bad game is always bad or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Basically saying, like, you should delay your game if it means it's going to be better instead of just, releasing it, like Ducey said, in time with the movie. And more often than not, they were crap. And we could see why, because they were rushed and to meet a deadline that's probably unrealistic. Like E.T.
Oh, God.
Develop in 6 weeks and get this game out for Christmas, Yeah.
Yeah, if they did have to do that, they still hadn't even settled on what they wanted to do with it yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it went from at least 3 different iterations before that, So it's like they finally nailed something, and it seems like that they rushed through what they finally finalized on, but the game still ended up being pretty amazing. So
like
it worked out.
If they had to release it at the time, would they have ended up going like a Die Hard trilogy route where we just have all these ideas. Let's just split them up into a top-down action adventure, a light gun shooter, a driving simulator. It would actually kind of work, to be honest.
I think it would work.
I mean, not better than what it happened.
Yeah, but it would work because you can still see elements of the real shooter in the single player, right? Like there's certain levels where you're kind of like on rails in the tank.
Yeah.
So it's like it's still rooted in that. Like they still want to break up the game and having those kind of action levels, which makes sense. So I could totally see them if they had more time to have like a driving level or something like that.
But there wasn't even really driving in the movie. Like they made this big deal about the BMW Z3, and he drives it in a straight line on a dirt road.
That was the advertisement. It was like a commercial.
Yeah.
There might be only the 3 driving scenes. He drives the Aston Martin at the very beginning.
At the beginning, it's just a street race.
And the tank, and then the BMW. That's it.
And he flies the little plane.
Yeah, the plane.
I wonder what has the most screen time of those vehicles. It'd be interesting to see if it was even the BMW.
Probably the Aston Martin, actually.
What? Yeah. Oh, at the beginning,
he's racing Xenia and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so the single player levels in this game, it's a pretty. I think there's like 18 total. They're all pretty well varied and different. There's a couple you do retread like surface and bunker, but the big difference in this game is, again, as we keep saying, it's just the different objectives that are across each difficulty. So I think this is what really set this game apart from everything else. Was you could start on Agent, which was the easiest, and you might have like a simple set of objectives. They were pretty straightforward. The enemy AI is pretty easy. So that kind of like encourages you to learn the levels. And if you're feeling a little bit more feisty, you go to Secret Agent 00, where there's even more objectives. You usually have to be a little bit more granular in how you're searching. And on top of that, the AI is a little bit more ruthless. So I think that was the thing is like, did you guys, like how did you guys acclimate to having to learn that kind of gameplay, like as far as like stealth? Because this also emphasized stealth more than most games. This was definitely more of like Secret Agent spy stuff more than anything else we had played previous to this.
I'd say it was definitely trial and error at first, because like when you fire a silenced pistol and the one guard goes down and then nobody else comes to greet you, you're like, oh, okay. But if you fire like the KF7 at the same guy, all of a sudden 3 or 4 more guys come at you and you're like, whoa, that's new.
That was also the thing I had to get used to too, is like you could trigger alarms, like enemies would get a sightline on you and all of a sudden you have like mobs of enemies coming at you.
Oh yeah, my favorite thing is like when you hear the alarm and you're looking around going, how?
Yeah.
Who saw me? I don't know how I figured it out. It'd be interesting to try and like reset my brain and play this again for the first time, because I don't remember having the guide right off the bat, but I also don't remember having that much difficulty figuring out where things were. So I think maybe Nintendo Power helped a lot, and the early days of the internet, probably we went on to GameFAQs or Nintendo.com or something. I do remember to get one of the cheats, it was Invincibility, the hardest one on Facility. I went in and downloaded the movie clip. It's a 2-minute clip because that's how long you have to unlock the thing. It took most of the afternoon.
I also remember you, I think it was you and our buddy Mervin were going back and forth between where the computer was.
Yeah.
Because you also had to remember the exact movements of that video. So it's not like now you have your phone up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And you're watching the person do it. I remember Deucey running to his room where the computer was, running back to get sure he'd nail it. I don't know if I was there when you got it, but I remember it was like, it took you a little bit of time.
There
You
were a
finally
lot
nailed
of retries. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you also had to, I think it was randomized based on Dr. Doak's position or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he could screw you because it was RNG there. This was like kind of the early days of speedrunning. This game was trying to get people into speedrunning because you really had to like do the strafe walking, which is actually faster movement, and you had to just hope that enemies shot you, which pushed you forward even more and cut off valuable tenths of a second. And, and then like one wrong thing, like if Doak wasn't in the right spot, ruins the whole run.
Yeah.
For me, it was like we did have the guide, but we got the guide a little bit later, and that was mostly just so we knew what we needed to do to unlock cheats. We were already familiar with where pretty much everything was in the game, and for me, it was pretty much just learning on like Agent, playing through the game on Agent, playing through the game on Secret Agent, and then from there on out, only playing it on 00 Agent, and it was fine because the replayability back then it was phenomenal.
Yeah,
The campaign replayability was great.
It's definitely one of the most replayable campaigns, and it's also one of those games where you really level design does encourage you to kind of explore and really kind of get into like every little, because you also some of the objectives, like I remember what level was where you had to destroy the security cameras, and they're kind of the same color as the wall.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to painstakingly go through, kind of like looking at the ceiling to shoot these freaking security cameras, or stuff where like the turrets where they're mounted up towards the ceiling and you won't see them and they'll just destroy you instantly.
Oh my god, those things could like, you think they could see through walls the way they were instantly on you.
Yeah. So yeah, this game was phenomenal just for that alone, just because it did offer replayability where it's like lower difficulties were tuned a different way and you kind of explore the levels. But as you got more and more difficult, more and more actually open up in the levels. Like these levels aren't very big. Like now I play them now and they just feel like, you know, you could traverse them in like a couple minutes. But back then it's like they felt massive. And stealth wasn't so emphasized. Like you could do stealth tactics, but you couldn't really like crouch behind people and, you know, not alert them. Like it was really just kind of, if they saw you kind of thing.
Yeah, you didn't have cones of vision like in Metal Gear or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Which, this predated Metal Gear, so I guess it wouldn't have, yeah.
You know, you make a good point because back then the levels really did feel big. And I remember specifically in the first level, the dam, if you, right when you're about to jump off and end the level, if you look the other way, there's like a little, like island way in the background. And I remember spending hours trying to figure out there has to be a way to get over there.
That was like one of those legends, because I think, I don't know if Nintendo Power also talked about it too. Someone did, where it was sort of like, can you get here? I think it was like a contest, right? Where they said like, can you get to this island or something? Like show us you can or something. It was like one of those challenges that blew up into like this rumor that you could go on there.
Yeah.
That rumor was brought to you by the same people who brought you Lara Croft's nude code.
Yeah.
Or how you
like,
fight,
no, you can totally do it. Just tinker around with it. Like, all right, that'll keep those idiots
how you
busy.
fight Sheng Long. And but they said, I think it originally they were going to have it over there because there was supposed to be like a boat you could get in. And if you shoot like a sniper over there, you can see little sparks of guards over there trying to shoot back at you.
Well, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
The other thing is, like, this game in the levels, there's a lot of area where you don't even have to go to, but they still included it. Like on the dam, you could run all the way to the other end of the dam. There's nothing over there. I don't even know if there's armor over there.
I think it's just empty.
But like, you don't need to because there's no alarms, there's no guards. Halfway down the dam is the end of the level.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, we won't put like an invisible wall or anything. You can still go over and look at this.
Yeah, so again, like they really adapted the movie as well as you could possibly imagine for this. And the game does carry through the events of the movie, which is also awesome because there's certain scenes that you definitely recognize. Like when you meet, what's his name? The
Trevelyan.
No,
the guy in
Valentin.
Statue, Valentin.
Oh,
yeah.
Valentin.
Like you recognize that scene exactly from the movie, and it plays out similarly. Where it's like you meet him, you go through this sort of I guess like garden museum thing, wherever it is, with all the statues and whatnot, and you meet Yanis, who ends up being 006, and he rolls out from behind that statue, just like the movie. It's like, oh, this is like 1-to-1. It's so amazing. And then also like again, now like I remember getting lost in that level because there isn't as much fog as there is in other N64 games. Like I think they did a pretty amazing job for this. Like I know one of the criticisms was the frame rate, but it ran like I didn't know that back then. Like I noticed it would slow down, but it wouldn't really impact my enjoyment of the game.
I mean, back then we just expected it to happen.
Yeah, especially when there's explosions and whatnot. And also, again, it kind of lends to how big these levels felt back then. It's like I would get lost in that statue level because there might be some dead ends. Like there's some really weird pathways and everything's so dark. But that's also what made the level fun. Is like you had to explore these things. You would find like body armor or could you find a grenade launcher in that level? I don't remember.
Yeah, but it's way off the beaten path.
Okay, that's what I thought. I remember doing something like
I
that.
think that level and maybe Jungle were the only two where I would kind of just get like, oh, where did I go, and just get myself.
Jungle was especially rough because that also had the mounted turrets on the ground that could kill you.
And the green fog.
Yeah. Now I could play that level instantly, but back then, like it felt like it was a freaking nightmare. I don't know if that might be one of my most hated levels when I was a kid. Was Jungle?
Yeah, it was rough.
I don't know what the other one would have been.
Control.
Control. Yeah.
Control was
Oh my
the
god.
one.
Yeah.
Because the turrets were annoying, and Xena with she had a grenade launcher, didn't she?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had the turrets and Xena with the grenade launcher, but you can handle those. But all of a sudden, starting your very first escort mission
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
at the very end of the game, when
Yeah.
all these people from every direction is shooting at Natalia.
Yeah.
There were so many different like tips and tricks on that. They were like, stand over here, and then others were like, no, stand over here. Then others were like, blow up the computers in a certain way so that the glass doesn't break. And you're like, oh wow, I didn't even think of doing that.
Yeah, I remember that, and it was also a hot ticket on classified information for tips.
Yeah.
And I remember like one of the things that I still can use today is where you kind of stand right behind her, and it's almost like a bullet sponge.
Yeah.
If you have all the weapons, just throw out some proximity mines.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my god, we didn't even talk about the weapons yet, but I guess we'll talk about that with multiplayer too. But yeah, the gadgets in here are really amazing too. Like I remember Train, that was like one of the coolest things was you had the laser watch.
Yep.
And you could you'd have to I guess like laser off the bolts or something.
That was
you could escape through the bottom.
Another true thing to the movie where he cuts into the floor with his watch. I wish they had his little belt grappling hook from the movie.
Oh, that would have been kind of hilarious
Just to go swinging around at some points in the levels.
I think they'd have been really clunky just because
Yeah.
there's not really much verticality here. You can't even jump in this game, which is another weird thing. Like
But people didn't think twice about it.
you didn't back then because for us, like I think we're still getting used to like controls, right? Because for us, we didn't play many 3D games at all, let alone ones that controlled, I would say, as well as Goldeneye. Like I know like Nintendo Power is always hard on things. Like they give it a 4.3 where it was out of 5. And I don't think the controls are that rough in here. They're just, you kind of have to acclimate because you're accounting for a third dimension in a first person game.
It's funny, these scores are kind of like predicting the future, where these controls are rough now compared to what we have. But back then, we were okay.
I'd give it a 4.3 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's rough now. I when I play it, I'm like, how did I play this when I was younger?
Yeah, and back then we were just like zipping
And it
around
was
like it was
effortless.
nothing.
It was pretty
it's almost
effortless
like
when I was
second
younger.
nature
Yeah.
at that point. Yeah. So yeah, the single player is phenomenal. I don't know if you guys have any more to add to it, or maybe like your favorite levels, or the thing is like I was pretty good at this game, but Ducey was really freaking good at this game. Did you guys unlock all the cheats in here?
Most of them.
Most of them, Vito?
I did, yeah. And the secret levels,
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because they had Aztec, and what was the other one?
Egypt.
Yeah.
Egypt.
So I think Aztec, you had to, please correct me if I'm wrong, you had to beat it on Secret Agent to get...
You had to beat all the levels on Secret Agent
Right.
to unlock Aztec.
And then 00 for the
Double O for Egypt, including the Aztec level, which is hard as shit.
Yeah, Aztec, that might be my most hated level on the hard difficulties,
Yeah.
because it's brutal. Like it seems like they have the most pinpoint accuracy on that level. I think the enemies infinitely respawn, if I remember right, or is that a thing?
Once you get to a certain point.
Okay, that's what it
Once you
was.
get over to where Jaws is, then all of a sudden they start coming from everywhere.
Yeah, that level. I'm like, because when they re-released it on Xbox Live or as part of Game Pass with Rare Replay, I blasted through Secret Agent pretty quickly, like more so than I ever did when I was a kid. Like back then when I was a kid, it was difficult even on Secret Agent. 00 was, I could get through the game, but it was a struggle. Like some by luck. So when I played it on the Xbox Live version and I got to Aztec, I was like, oh my god, this is just a freaking nightmare. Like that's kind. I don't think I even beat on Secret Agent. It was freaking hard.
I did the same thing as you when Xbox got it, and now the controls for it are great on Xbox.
They work well enough, yeah, because they transitioned the C movement to the right stick, I think, or it's
No,
more
it's
like
the left
traditional
stick.
controls, left stick. That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
it very much feels like a modern shooter now. But I did the same thing where I went through everything, I think only on Secret Agent, and got to Aztec, and even Secret Agent Aztec was kicking my ass.
yeah, it's brutal.
And I've just recently gone back and tried to go through everything on 00, and Control is stopping me on 00 because
That's where I got stuck.
Natalia has like no life bar.
Yeah, Control is definitely a sticking
You
point.
basically, it gets to the point you beat that game because you remember what order that they show up in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just always constantly moving to where that next guy's popping out of this new window and
Yeah.
blasting him before he has a chance to do anything.
Yeah.
So it went from like the most difficult level to just kind of like a minor chore.
Yeah,
Once you know
for
the
sure.
order that they're coming in.
Yeah.
As long as you just have the life, because early on, like I was getting tore up by the guns, the camera guns, and just guys that are far in the distance and somehow still shooting me.
Yeah, they have pinpoint accuracy a mile away with like an AK or something.
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. I'd say most levels in this game are really good.
They are. There's not really a bad level in here. I
The
don't
only
think.
one I'm not fond of, I think it's right after Jungle, where there's those ceiling turrets. I forgot what level
Well,
that's
that is
called.
control.
That's Control.
Is it Control?
That's the
Okay,
beginning
so
of
there you go.
Control.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the same level. I didn't realize. Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot.
I don't particularly like the second surface level.
Yeah.
Because it's darker and guys are constantly coming at you. You could be at the starting area and maybe you're like looking at your phone or something, and then all of a sudden 3 guys are already coming around the corner.
Yeah.
And you're like, I haven't started to move. What the hell's going on?
I think that one is the weaker of the repeat levels. Like, there's only a couple that repeat, and that's definitely the weaker one. It's like, I don't really want to play this through this level again.
Yeah.
The train level, I remember back like those
Oh, yeah.
early times that I played it and getting near the end, I'm like, how do I get the watch laser to work? Where do I go?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to shoot? And then I would just die. It'd be so frustrating because it's kind of like a slog, just going through all those train cars with all those enemies.
Well, that level. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Vito.
you first. Yeah.
I was gonna say that level is really hard because it's a train, so you're going in one direction. You have all these small compartments and corridors. That definitely was another one, especially in Double Agent, that was a nightmare because you could get like bottlenecked and just
Yep.
destroyed by enemies. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, all the levels are good. I just remember not liking the one where you meet Zukovsky because I kept getting lost.
Statue?
Zukovsky, yeah,
The statue?
Zukovsky,
Yeah.
aka Hagrid.
Yeah.
R.I.P. But yeah, I just kept getting lost back then, and I didn't like it.
The 2 levels with Valentin in them, there were cheats that you had to unlock that I just constantly was a second short on. Like, I would do
yeah.
it over and over and over. Like, there was one on the archives, beat the archives, and like, I don't know if it was Secret Agent or 00 Agent, but do it in a minute and a half.
Yep.
And I'd be like, I was like, Valentine, all right, see ya. All right,
Yeah.
and just like leaving, like you're not even letting the whole scene play out, just triggering and getting the hell out of there. And every time I would get to the thing, did I do it? 131. Try it again, 131. And I'm like, I don't see how I can possibly cut any time out of here. I'm going as fast as humanly possible.
That was one of the greatest things about this game, though, because when I was younger, I couldn't unlock as many cheats. Like Deuce eventually got all of them. But on the Xbox version, I was able to unlock a bunch pretty quickly. But that was one of the most addictive things about this game was the fact that you could just outdo yourself. And like it was like you, Randy, where it's like on statue, I was unlocking where it was. And it's like once I realized I could get close, it's always like, damn it, it's a second away.
Yep.
Oh,
And then I was also on that statue level, the bomb that is thrown from the helicopter
Oh, yeah.
is randomized. So I would have to restart once I realized that it's not in the spot that I wanted to pick it up at. It's also like a speedrunning thing too, because this game also influenced a ton of speedrunning. And there's some really amazing speedrunners like Grazlu007, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
You should definitely check him out. But these people break the game, and that's also what started for them too. It's like the fact that they use time challenges and you get a reward for it. I really wish that more games did it today, because I know it's like, everything's so focused on microtransactions and stuff. But I mean, it was easy replayability. Like
They're
you
also
on bonus mode.
focused on big open world.
That's
Yeah.
true too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
like, choose your mission as
Yeah.
much anymore.
I do miss this format where they had different objectives with each difficulty. I wish there was some spy game, some knockoff that would just do this, because it's so freaking great. Like, it just encourages repeat playthroughs, and it doesn't have to be like this giant world. Sometimes I just don't care.
I think what they've transitioned into is in Hitman, like in Goldeneye, you had multiple different objectives, for the different difficulties. In Hitman, you now have one objective, multiple
That's
different
true.
ways
It's the polar opposite
of doing it.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
and you could speedrun that if you wanted.
Yeah.
I do like the Hitman series for that, just limiting the amount of levels, but greatly increasing the ways you can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Except
Yeah.
it almost always revolves into, oh, I'm going to disguise myself as the VIP.
Yeah.
Which kind of gets a little old, and you try to get yourself not to do that same thing over and over.
IOI is making the next Bond game.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
hope
true.
it's going to be good. I can't imagine it'll be awful, but I can't wait for them to show it off.
I heard there was finally some news on that front, and it's like within the next year or so.
Hopefully,
I'll be
Yeah.
shocked if it comes down next year.
if there's like a cheer of excitement, like I was hyped for Great Circle. This Bond game's like just slightly
Just right
below
there.
that.
But yeah, I mean, if they use the Hitman engine for it and all that, there's a lot of things they can do with it.
Yeah, quality over quantity. I'm all for it if they make some really gadget-ridden Bond game. It could be incredible with driving levels and everything.
Yeah.
They got to have the driving. I think in a future episode we're going to do the second half of the Bond generation, and they really started to feel like Bond movies now that they didn't have to follow the stories of the movies themselves.
Well, and they also emphasize Bond moments, which is why I
Yeah.
love them so much. Yeah. All right, guys. So I guess we'll be good with single player. We'll get into the big part of the game for all of us. I think this is where a lot of rivalries started, a lot of rivalries ended. But nonetheless, we spent, I mean, it had to be thousands of hours over the decades on this. But it's the multiplayer, which, as I mentioned earlier, wasn't even supposed to be in the game, yet it's here. And I've read some fun things about the multiplayer where they, because again, like this is a single player game, so it runs at whatever frame rate it does, which is probably around 20 to 25. I don't think it's a stable 30 necessarily, even on N64.
Not stable.
Not stable, not in the slightest. So you have that for your single player experience, and now you're going to divide it into 4 more screens. So I had read that they even went down to like removing polygons from railings, turning the ceiling black. Basically, any little thing they could cut down on, like removing individual polygons to increase the frame rate, they did, and it paid off because. Yeah, this game, the frame rate is kind of clunky in 4-player. It doesn't matter because for us, this was like the first foray into deathmatch and sort of objective multiplayer. And there was nothing better than the N64 and its 4 controller ports. So for us with Deucey, we played this like every freaking weekend, it felt like, with all 4 of our buddies. It was insane.
And somehow we survived the multiple freezings of my N64.
Oh, yeah, yours especially.
No, Goldeneye Pizza Mountain Dew. I mean, that's really all you needed on the weekend.
Yeah, so this so the multiplayer, I forgot how many maps it has. I don't think I got on there. I think it's like, I don't know, it's close to like 10 or 15.
I want to say
around there.
15.
Somewhere
but
around there.
if you do 3 or 4 players, they cut out a certain
They
handful.
do, yeah.
They're like, no, it's just not going to run on these.
Exactly, it just makes sense. I think it's like the cavern one or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's not a great level to begin with. But you have like classics like Facility, and you have, what's the one with the grates? Was it Control or something? Complex,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the thing that was different about this game is like you had a huge variety of weapons. There was like everything from like pistols, from automatics. We had a lot of fun with mines. I don't know if you guys made up modes, but for us it was like having a remote mines or proximity mines was like the most fun.
Or if you wanted to drag it out, knives only.
Yeah, knives only.
Oh yeah,
Nobody would get killed.
Slappers only.
Yeah.
yeah. So they added a ton of stuff. But this is kind of where they tie it to like the previous Bond movies. Like they have License to Kill, which is 1-hit kills.
Yeah.
They have Man with the Golden Gun, where it's like the golden gun is hidden on the map somewhere, and then whoever has it basically it's 1-hit kills.
Yeah, and only one person gets it.
And one person gets it.
Yeah.
So the other players can still kill the person who has it. It's just a lot harder because you have to dodge the one bullet that can kill you.
Yeah.
There's like time deathmatch. There wasn't Capture the Flag in this.
Yeah,
I
there
don't
was.
think. Was there
It was
Capture
called,
the Flag?
Weirdly, it was called The Living Daylights.
Oh,
one of
okay.
the movies.
That's right.
But it was just Capture the Flag. But it wasn't the one we know where you have to take it back to your base. It was basically just grab the flag and hold on to it the longest. And then you got no weapons to defend yourself. You just had to run around like a chicken,
Yeah.
and
like
people were chasing you.
It's like, what mode is that? The ball in Halo?
Oh, oddball.
Oddball.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Had you guys played any first-person shooters, any like I guess arena
No.
shooters before this? Because
No, this was
again,
the
this
first
is
one.
97, so like things like Quake are out. Doom was obviously a popular thing, but for me, like I never had online before this, or I never played like an arena shooter. So
The only Doom I had played was on Super Nintendo. That was definitely not multiplayer.
that was your multiplayer.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first multiplayer shooter I ever played.
Yeah.
Was
Before we got a PC and got like Unreal Tournament and then Star Siege Tribes and things like that.
I mean, as you know, I didn't have a Super Nintendo or Sega, and I didn't have a PC, so I think this might have been the first shooter that I played, but I don't remember if Duke Nukem was out before this or Doom or anything like that. 'cause
Doom 64 was, and I played that, but I played that with Deucey. I rented it, and we never got into that because it was legitimately so dark. It was impossible to see. I swear we got out of like the first 3 rooms. And I cranked the brightness up on my Magnavox and everything, and nothing helped. So we didn't get far back then. No. So there was no real Doom 64 for us.
And I think Duke 3D was out, but on PC. And then like Duke 64 came out after GoldenEye. So even that multiplayer would have been after this. Yeah,
that's right. We did play multiplayer on Duke 3D. Yeah. So that really was like the first multiplayer game for a lot of us, more or less. Well, multiplayer sure, because we played Mario Kart before this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see what else we have on there. So I think one of the biggest things with this game too is the you mentioned slappers only, which I think is the fun thing. One of the things that is notable for this too is Odd Job. I know we all. I think all of us had to have some sort of what's the word, like an unwritten rule, like you can't make Odd Job.
Odd Job.
I heard that very early on in playing was the no Odd Job rule.
Yeah.
I think it took a little bit for me to realize that how cheap he was, because like it has a pretty big cast of characters you can unlock to play as, and they're all pretty much the same because they're all normal height people.
Yeah.
I had different favorites. I always liked to play as 006, and then Odd Job would come out and he's like whatever the hell he is, 4'8".
He looks like a character already crouched, and then he can crouch, so it goes even lower. The problem with it was, like, with the regular control setup, which is what everybody would pick up and play with, he's impossible to hit on the run. Mm-hmm. But if you use the one that we were talking about with the C buttons moving and you can look with the stick, he's actually a little easier. You can actually
look a little bit
and aim down. Plus, it does have a pretty okay auto aim.
It's pretty generous, I would say.
But not for Odd Job. For some reason, it wouldn't auto aim down.
Well, I imagine the hitbox that's trying to gravitate to, it probably doesn't exist on his face.
Yeah.
It's just, it's probably towards his chest, which is even lower than his face.
And then if you wanted to give somebody a handicap, you would tell them to play as Jaws.
That's what I did all the time.
He was already taller. He was easier to hit.
I forgot he was a big old piece to hit.
That's the one I always picked. And I was like, screw it. I'm a bigger target, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm Jaws. I can take it.
With Odd Job, I remember there was this trick, too, that if you blew up boxes and you crouched in the box, you could hide and no one would see you, and then you could just pop out and be like, hey, and then blow somebody away.
I forgot he was even worse when he crouches.
I just remember he got better in the later games because in Nightfire you could play as Odd Job, but you got his hat. And his hat was a one-hit kill.
That's right. That was like the coolest freaking thing back then too, because it wasn't the easiest thing to hit either. So it was kind of impressive, but it was really awesome that was the little touch they added for it.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, they needed this back in GoldenEye.
Yeah. So, geez, like I remember with this one, going back to like the mines and stuff, I think that was the things. There was times where we would try to break the game, if I recall, where you would just try to set up as many explosives as possible, just to see them all go off.
Just a long stack. It looked like a stack of pizza boxes. I could also, I played it so much. Weirdly, it didn't have bots, but I played the multiplayer so much that I knew where the spawn points were. Mm. So if we were doing any mine games, I would just put like proxy mines on the spawn points. And back then they didn't have safe spawn like in most modern games. So people were just popping up at random and then blowing up immediately.
Well, I think, and that's what I was going to point out too, is because we had played this locally when the Xbox version came out, and I realized it's actually not fun two-player, because if you know where the spawn points are and where also the ammo respawns, you basically have no chance, because the maps aren't that big. And again, like, you don't notice that when you're playing 4-player and it's just chaos, but it does kind of suck when you play and you're older. Like, oh yeah, this is a lot more simple than I anticipated. Like,
yeah,
you can really just camp in one spot. It's like the worst of camping you can imagine.
They're like, oh, this is the best gun in the game. I'm just gonna wait here and aim for when he comes around the corner.
Yeah. Were you all screen lookers too? Because I feel like that was the big thing.
That was another unwritten rule.
Screen look, screen looking in the radar.
Yeah. No, man, that's part of the game.
Yeah, Deucey was king screen looker. Like one of our buddies would get salty at him a little bit. He's like, I know you're screen looking.
No, I was king. Where the hell is everybody?
Yeah.
No, my cousin and I, Michael, when we used to play this, like we used to almost come to blows sometimes when we'd have an unwritten rule, and then we'd be like, no screen looking. We'd just start yelling and all sorts of craziness.
I mean, on my little 12-inch Daewoo, it's hard not to see the other screen.
What I also love about your Daewoo back then was the crackling noise for the explosions.
Yeah.
So I knew when we set those explosions, you're like, and then it would freeze.
Yep.
Did your mom play Goldeneye with us? I can't remember if she did,
yes.
right? That's what I thought.
This was one of her favorite games. This and Zelda.
Yeah.
She started out, I think, playing multiplayer with us, and then it kind of transformed into, I'll give the single player a shot. And she did pretty good. She beat Olive Agent, and then she got to about the silo on Secret Agent, I remember. But that one, that adds a timer, and she wasn't much of a speed runner.
I do remember she had to have you help with some of the levels, I
Yeah.
think, to get through them because you had already finished through whatever double O at this time or something like that. But I just remember at certain points where I'm like, yeah, I can't get through this. And you're almost like the phone a friend kind of thing. Phone a son.
But we always have this joke now. We always go back to like she would just empty entire clips into the guys, and we're like, "Mom,
They're dead.
he dropped the gun.
He's dead. It's like
Just
someone
like
beating the crusty
reloads,
burglar.
walks right over the head, and just uses the whole clip.
You always got to double tap."
Stop. He's already dead. Oh, man. Yeah. So I just have like so many memories with this freaking game. Is there anything else you guys want to dive into for the multiplayer stuff? Because I guess we could talk about how it influenced everything else forward too, because Goldeneye was out in 97, and then this obviously popularized multiplayer gaming for consoles because there really wasn't anything like this before. So I would argue, I mean, you can't really argue,
And
I'd say.
4-player.
And 4-player, because it had 4
general.
ports, which interestingly enough, Sega would also take a page from Nintendo and have 4 ports on the Dreamcast. I wish, I'm a hardcore Dreamcast person. I wish it lived longer, but it had 4 ports.
And no one owned 4 controllers for the Dreamcast.
No.
I did not. I always had my buddy come over with his 2.
Yeah. I'd say for this influenced things for better and worse because, like we said, a lot of games at first didn't want to put multiplayer into it, and this was a big surprise even for GoldenEye. And then it got to the point where you're like, I don't think this game needs multiplayer, but because of GoldenEye's popularity, they were like, we got to throw
That's
something
really
in.
true. A lot of tacked on multiplayer modes.
I mean,
Like,
and to be fair to the campaign, I don't think GoldenEye needed the multiplayer for it to be a
No.
really solid game. But when it had the multiplayer, it became a legendary game.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden there's this whole pile of replayability that just plopped in, just out of nowhere. Oh, it was an afterthought. And now everyone's huddled around playing this on the weekends all the time.
It was a multi-generational too, because think about how we were young enough, we had our parents take us over to friends' houses and we played it on weekends. But this also infiltrated dorm rooms for college
yeah,
people.
that's true. That was people beyond our years, and yeah, it's true.
And they were just having like entire dorm parties for nothing but GoldenEye.
Yeah, that's now it's great with online and everything like that, but obviously there's something a little bit different about getting with your friends in a room, and this really was sort of like it was very emblematic of that kind of social setting where you and your buddies, like Randy said, you had your pizza, probably your Mountain Dew, maybe some Reese's peanut butter cups is what my thing of choice.
Oh, those Reese's peanut butter balls.
That's right. That's right. What are they called? The Butterfinger BBs. They weren't that.
Oh, the Butterfinger BBs.
Those are great. Yeah, but the peanut butter balls are great. But yeah, like you would just sit with your friends and like you could play this for just hours with the different modes on there. And yeah, you're right, Deuce. Like it does suck that later on, a lot of games were like, let's tack on multiplayer. GoldenEye did it fine, and then it would just be like,
And you're like, why?
you're like, you could just have, spent more time developing the main game, and it would have sucked less.
You're like, I don't think I need a shooter in Donkey Kong 64. Like,
I mean, even some games didn't even have a single player component anymore. Like, what was it? The Battlefront remake, the first one, it had no single player.
Oh yeah,
It was just
Star Wars
mul-
Battlefront.
Turok Rage Wars.
Turok Rage Wars was
yeah.
multiplayer only, and that was because they couldn't fit it in the Turok 2, apparently, from what they had said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, this definitely had sort of a rippling effect on console gaming, and it would still persist, because even like Halo and the Xbox, 4 controller ports, 2-player co-op through the whole campaign, which was a huge thing that never been done.
Oh, technically you can do that in GoldenEye because some of the controller setups
That's right.
for single player use 2 controllers.
Yeah, and there's also a speedrunners who do that. There's actually
Yeah.
a fun run from like way back, like 10 years. It's Arwait Goose and some other guy. Like it's almost like 2 brains, 1 controller.
Yep.
Or 2 controllers where, yeah, it's freaking wild to watch.
I don't know if you and I tried it, but I know me and Mervin tried it.
I know we tried it a little bit back then.
And it was like, okay, you just have to trust the guy to know when to shoot. You're like, okay, I'm going to run. You pull the trigger.
Yeah, you have to be like, stick to your role. I'll stick to mine.
Yeah.
That's all you have to worry about is what you can do. Don't worry about what you can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. What else? What? Any final thoughts on this game? Anything else you want to dive into?
I'm
Vito?
curious if what you guys like, if you had to pick like a multiplayer stage and specific setup, like what would be your favorite like combination? I know for me, I have a lot of fond memories with proximity mines on Complex.
I was just about to say that was like one great thing because you could hide in the little hideaways.
Yeah, there's that one overhang where it overlooked like the pathway that was like V-shaped, and you could like drop all the mines on
Yep.
there,
Yep.
and then on the pathway behind you, so you were like just set up laughing at everyone just blowing up.
I would shoot holes bullet holes into the wall because the mines looked like the bullet holes. And then you throw one on there and people are just like, oh, there was shooting nearby. Nope.
No.
Yeah, I think that was one of our favorite modes was any kind of mines on complex, and of course for me I would say anything on facility because that's probably like the most iconic level in the game, both from single player.
Power weapons.
Yes.
Let me get a hold of that RCP-90.
God, that
one
was
of the
amazing.
greatest video game weapons ever.
If a gun could shoot through a door, it was over because you think you're hiding and then you just blast through it.
I also liked when you use grenade launchers, the rocket launchers, and like the stupid vapor would kill you on License to Kill.
Oh, I know.
It's like, especially, I feel like we would do that a lot on facility where you set up with like those power weapons or whatever, and like you would think you're clear, and like there's like a waft of smoke that kills you with it.
Like the flame would come through a wall and it would still hurt you, even though you're in a totally different room.
Yeah.
And then for the opposite spectrum of that, I really liked the outdoor snow satellite level snipers only.
Oh yeah.
Like that was always a lot of fun because it was totally different than the fast-paced freneticness of some of those other ones. Because most of the time when we played at the youth center, it was power weapons.
Yeah.
Because everyone wanted to get a hold of the RCP-90,
I-
and who can blame them?
I remember we would set up special events. Like if you went to, it was called the library, but it was in the basement, and there was this room that was like a bunch of pillars, and so everybody would agree to go around the hallways, pick up weapons and ammo, but don't shoot anybody until you get into that one giant room with pillars, and then you just start strafing back and forth.
I remember that, and I wonder if that was after the Matrix or something, because I remember us playing that. It was almost like kind of like kind of a duel or something. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of peeking out to take a shot and hit. Yeah.
That was very much like Bomberman because it was in a grid setup, and then you just kept running back and forth to try and see somebody.
Well, and also in Complex, I didn't really make the connection until I read the book where they said where those little compartments that you hide in, that's sort of like a trap point in Bomberman. That was that whole idea with like the mines, which I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. So it's interesting that like Bomberman influenced Goldeneye in some way. I was curious. I didn't think about this earlier, but I was curious if any other shooters at this time or multiplayer shooters had the options that Goldeneye did, because I think that's also something that influenced later on where, you know, like you look off when Rare after this and after they were bought by Microsoft, actually before they were bought by Microsoft, some of the Rare developers spun off into Free Radical, which made Time Splitters, which I love those freaking games. They were not maybe as significant as Bond because they just had like these, you know, like I think the first game had like a 70s theme, you know, it was like a time traveling thing, but it had all the options that Perfect Dark did and more. And I think that's what GoldenEye kind of popularized was, you know, was multiplayer modes, like all the different options, different modifiers, everything.
The more I see of Time Splitters now, I'm really surprised at myself for not getting into that series back then, because it really was just GoldenEye Part 2 or Perfect Dark, the next generation. And whereas you had them, and I would still say, hey, let's pop in Perfect Dark or something, or Halo by then. Like, for some reason, I wasn't getting into Time Splitters, but I really should have been, because it was all the same stuff.
I was surprised you hadn't either, because I got them, and I bought one because I'd read it was from the GoldenEye developers, basically. And I got two, which is even more like GoldenEye, down to the first level being in like a snowy dam level, at the bottom of a dam. And I was, you know, we had played multiplayer, but I think the other problem was like we didn't always have a multi-tap, so we couldn't always play 4-player. I think that was part of the challenge too. You know, 2-player was fun, especially because it had a full-blown campaign you could go through together. But multiplayer really hinged on having 4 people. So we had 4 N64 controllers. It made sense to go to Perfect Dark. And,
That's true.
You know, they had plenty of robust options too. But I would hope someday Time Splitters comes back. I don't think it's ever going to happen because Free Radicals have been out of business for a little while now. I think one of the more recent games they made, and I use that term loosely, was Haze. You guys remember that big thing on PS3?
Yeah. Big bomb.
It was a big bomb. It was supposed to be the Halo killer, and anytime you say something like that, it almost never works. Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Didn't they release Time Splitters on PS Plus now? Or
Time Splitters 2 and 3 might be on there, or
Okay.
maybe all 3 are. Actually, I think all 3 are, and then Time Splitters 2 is backwards compatible on Xbox One, or you know, like Series X. And I forgot if the third game is or not. I can't remember. But they're worthwhile. Like the controls are kind of funky on the Series X version. Like they're just really sensitive, and it's the same case on PS Plus, really. But it also feels like GoldenEye with that kind of awkward sensitivity when you free aim. Yeah. All right, guys. So maybe we'll go around the table and maybe talk about GoldenEye's impact and influence and how legendary of a game it is. So Vito, perhaps you want to start us off here?
Yeah, I think GoldenEye kind of crystallized my love for Bond because, like I was saying before that, I was introduced to all the movies around like 95, and then the game came out in 97, and it kind of tied it all together for me. but just also a lot of just good memories with my friends playing the multiplayer, even though, like I said, we sometimes almost came to blows over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's still to this day, I think it's probably one of my favorite games, even though it's a little bit rough to play now. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic game, and it's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah. Ducey, I know this game is very important to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there with Super Metroid as like for all games, all systems. Like it's one of my top 5, top 3 maybe.
Of all time?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I can see that.
No other game has gotten me into 2 different things, like shooters and the Bond movie series, or even books. Like everything Bond, I just like fell in love with all of it, and it was all because of this one game that I had no idea what I was going to get into. And yeah, like I said, no other game has done that. No other movie tie-in especially. So yeah, I can't emphasize enough. And I think, in a few episodes we might do an N64 list, and it'll be surprising or not surprising where
I know,
put
yeah.
this.
I can only expect it, yeah. Yeah, I do remember vividly, like, this game was the catalyst for Bond for you, because I remember we played this, and in instant, it's like, I remember you're watching all the movies.
Yeah.
You knew, like, everything Bond back then.
I was just telling you every new thing I learned about it.
It was great.
Yeah, I think if we're doing an N64 list, then I'd be shocked if it was lower than 2 on everyone's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair,
everybody.
yeah.
I think Ocarina is the only thing you could argue, and really, it's honestly a preference because maybe Ocarina has a better single player and all that. But did Ocarina influence as much as GoldenEye did?
I don't think so. I know,
quite think so.
As great as Ocarina of Time is, as much as of a great Zelda game that is, it's hard to say, like, it influenced a lot, especially with like Z targeting, but as far as impact like GoldenEye, I don't think it's quite there.
Like, it influenced other Zeldas.
Yeah.
Because it did things only
It
Zelda
evolved.
can do.
Yeah.
Whereas GoldenEye kind of put a blueprint for, no, you can do this on your games, for better or worse.
Yeah, GoldenEye, so for me, it really is like one of my most favorite games ever. I have just so many memories for it, and this is right before I was, a teenager. I was like 12 years old or something. So it was right into that point where I really understood gaming more, because I was able to be more aware and conscious of games I'm playing versus just, oh, this looks great from an ad, whatever,
Yeah.
And now I feel like we were finally getting to a point where games were becoming a much bigger deal, and GoldenEye really encompasses that. And some of the biggest accolades for this game, I don't even really get into them, but it was the number 3 best-selling N64 game, which is no surprise. The other ones...
What was... I can understand what one would be. Oh, I guess Super Mario, huh?
So I'll give you the top 5. So number 5 is Super Smash Brothers with 5.5 million copies sold. Number 4, I was kind of surprised about this, was Ocarina of Time with 7.6 million. Number 3 was GoldenEye with 8.1 million. Number 2 is Mario Kart 64 with 9.9 million. And then, no surprise, Mario 64 is number 1 with 12 million.
Which I never owned.
Yeah.
I didn't own it for the longest time either. I think that's hilarious that there's a lot of people I know who didn't own it for the longest time.
Yep.
Can't remember Super Mario 64. They didn't pack it in.
It was
No,
this
yeah.
is when they
Yeah.
stopped doing packing games. Yeah,
But it was a launch title.
Right.
Yeah.
It was with like Pilot Wings and a couple others. I think.
Wave
Wave
Race.
And I think
Wave Race, I think,
Ocarina
was right
probably
after.
would have been higher on it, but it came years later.
It came out
Like 98, right?
Yeah, August, August, September 98, so about a year later. Yeah, but still, it's like I would have figured Zelda, being Zelda, like Nintendo's bread and butter, it would have outsold or been like top 3, right?
Well, it was
and
only-
it's just out.
But I mean, it had a year of GoldenEye plus like 2.5 years on.
That's
Mario.
also
Behind
true.
Mario
Yeah,
and
Mario
Mario
64
Kart.
was nothing was going to beat Mario Kart or
And
Mario
Zelda
64.
was only single player,
It was
where people were like, "Oh, Mario Kart and GoldenEye, this is a multiplayer machine."
Yeah. So I don't think it's. I'm sort of underselling it when I say like GoldenEye definitely changed movie-based games forever, because there's a lot of hits and misses, mostly misses previous to this, like a lot of misses. But this was one of the biggest movie-based games ever, and it still shines today, even though it's dated. But I mean, there's so many movie games owe it themselves because of GoldenEye.
Yeah, I think it's the best movie-based game ever.
Easily.
I don't think there's really much of a competition.
Yeah, there's a few you could say are close, or as far as like how great they are. But GoldenEye, like I don't think there's going to be anything, at least for our lifetimes, going to be this impactful. I don't know.
Spider-Man 2 was close.
Yeah, that
But
was
was Spider-Man
not
2 the
multiplayer.
game better than Spider-Man 2 the movie? I don't
Oh,
think
that's
so.
No,
I
yeah.
do think that, despite I do love GoldenEye the movie, the game is better.
I think the game is better
Yeah.
for sure. Like I think the GoldenEye movie is still great today. Like I rewatched it a couple years ago.
I watched it when we did the James Bond
That's
podcast.
right. Yeah. So I'd rewatch it again. I really love that movie, but I think the GoldenEye of the game is just so much better.
Yeah.
And this, beyond the fact that it's like a more immersive experience because you're playing. But
Since we mentioned movies, I'm curious, what's your guys' favorite Bond movie? Like your number one?
Oh, you should listen to the Hollywood Video Guys podcast.
There you go.
I probably did listen. I don't remember.
That was like
That
a
was
year ago.
the way that we ended up judging it was like the travesty of all podcasts.
That's right.
How
Yeah.
it came down to it, and I was like, no.
I probably technically should
This
vote
is
for
wrong.
Casino Royale, but I gave the vote to License to Kill because it was more like the traditional Bond. But yeah,
I guess.
yeah, it's a loose answers, Randy.
No, my favorite for the longest time was GoldenEye, and then Casino Royale came out, and then Skyfall came out, and then No Time to Die came out. So it was like just progressively better and better, and they were starting to bump, like GoldenEye is what now, 4th, I think, on my
I
list.
never liked anything more than Casino Royale. Casino Royale. Even when I went back and rewatched all of, at least the Craig ones, I watched some of the Pierce Brosnan ones. I watched some of the more Connery ones. This is like a year and a half ago. But even though Casino Royale was the one that I saw the most, it was still the one that engaged me the most, regardless.
I think I'd have to say Casino Royale because I was like you do see where I really loved GoldenEye. I'm really just modern Bond era, right? Like I really haven't seen many of the old ones. So it was always GoldenEye. I think, I enjoyed Tomorrow Never Dies and all the other ones. I didn't like Die Another Day too much, but I loved Skyfall. I loved Casino Royale, and I really did love No Time to Die. But I think when I think about it, it's just that initial reboot with Daniel Craig where it was like the ultimate Bond reboot. That's probably my favorite movie, at least of the ones I've seen.
I think for me, it's Casino Royale and Skyfall are like neck and neck
Yeah,
as being my
Skyfall's
favorite.
really good.
But I think I'd give it to Skyfall just by a hair because to me that's kind of where it starts turning to more a traditional Bond movie.
That's fair, yeah, with
And-
Javier Bardem.
Yeah, and I think the villain is just really great. So I think Skyfall is my favorite, although I do have a soft spot for GoldenEye because of the game and Goldfinger because that was the first one I ever saw. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think you kind of have to judge them in eras at this point because From Russia with Love and Goldfinger are two of my favorites of the original way back in the day. But you can't compare them to a lot of the modern ones because there's so much different, like the way the movies were made, the gadgets, the action,
The feel of them and the
campiness.
action. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all different for sure.
Like if I were to go back to like old Bonds, like old campy Bonds, I don't know if you get any better than The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah, that was
that's
a really good one, too.
It's a really good one.
I don't know if I've seen that one. I can't remember if I saw that
No,
one.
you
actually.
didn't watch it. When
Yeah, I
when
only
we were
watched
doing that.
I watched a couple of the early ones. Dr. No, I forgot the second one was.
From Russia.
There
with
you go.
Love, yeah.
I saw that
The Spy
one.
Who Loved Me did kind of have everything you would want to have in a Bond movie.
right, yeah.
Yeah, I've been that's been in my queue for a while, so I have to get to it over the last like 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I think we're finally at the end here. We've reveled and revered this wonderful game, and if anyone out there wants to reach out to us to talk about why they love GoldenEye or Bond or anything in general, just reach us out to LegionGamingPod@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram at Legion Gaming Podcast. And we're also on Blue Sky at LegionGamingPod.bksy.social or whatever the hell that nomenclature is. 'Cause
You've
I can
almost
never
got
get
it
right.
memorized.
Yeah, it's awful. Fellas, thank you all for joining us. Randy, Vito, thank you for joining us as guests on this fantastic episode. Do you see any final words for our friends?
James Bond will return.